begun by importing the second template, and I'm going to put it in its own composition. This is a little bit more concise on what we need to create using the pen tool. First thing I'll do is make a new layer, and I'll make it white, and I'll drop the opacity, and then I'll hit G on the keyboard to get my pen tool. I'm going to make the yellow line first. Now with the layer selected, I'll go up to Effect and to Generate. I'll choose Stroke. I'm going to turn off the template, and I'm going to bring the opacity of our layer back to 100% before I play with that effect so I can see it more clearly. And I'm going to change the color to yellow. I'll make the brush size 7, brush hardness 100%, and the spacing 100%. And I'm going to choose at the bottom where it says Paint Style, I'll click there and I'll choose on Transparent. And because I've turned off my template, the black default background kind of highlights that for me. So now if I wanted to, I could go in and I could use my Move tool to adjust. And if I was to make the term end 0 by dragging to the left, you'll see I don't see the path at all. So initially, if it comes up by default with 0, just drag it to 100 so you can see the spacing and the size of the path we made. Now I'm going to put my playback head at the beginning of the timeline, and I'll go to the end. The path is hidden. I'll click on my first keyframe. I'll go to 7 seconds in time. I'll make end 100% again. So now if I was to click and drag through, this is what we've got. Now I'll make the red path that comes from behind the moon back towards the direction of Earth. I'll put my template on. I'll make a new layer and I'll drop the opacity. I'll hit G on the keyboard to get my pen tool and I'll draw the red path. With the new layer and path selected, I'll go to Effects and Generate, Stroke, make it red, brush size 7, hardness 100%, spacing 100%. Now if I have my effects set to 0 for end, I won't see it. And as I increase the number, the path starts to grow. So I don't want this to start till second number 7. So I've put my playback head at second number 7, with the yellow line is complete. And I'll drop the first keyframe for end, and then I'll proceed to 10 seconds. And I'll complete the end by going to 100. I'll turn off the opacity of the background layer by going to On Original, choosing On Transparency. Now when I drag through, I should see something like this. Now I'm going to go in and tweak the path. It's a little off here, so I'll hit V on the keyboard, and I'll just click and move that vertex. And if I need to, I could go in and edit this path as well. Next, we'll export the trajectory path with an alpha channel. I'll turn off the black background in the composition window, and then I'll go to Composition, add to Render Queue, and in the output settings, I'm going to change the format to QuickTime, and then the video output channels RGB to RGB alpha. I'll turn off the audio, click OK, click on Output 2, give it a name, I'll save it, and then I'll click on Render. I've imported the alpha channel path. I'll drag it onto my main composition, and I'll drag through to complete it. I'm simply going to scale it from the bottom to give more of a 45-degree angle, position it. Now I'm going to use the pen tool and mask the areas that should be masked. I'll start with the moon. Hitting G on the keyboard, I'll go in and mask off right at the top here. I'll go to the file in the timeline, opening up mask, and I'll click on invert. Once again, I'll hit G on the keyboard. I'll go over to the planet Earth, and I'll make the proper path for that as well. I'll go to the mask settings in the timeline. I'll click on the word add and choose subtract. I'll deselect. And now we've got it appearing as if it's going around those three-dimensional planets we've got. In the tutorial, the path holds for 1.5 seconds in 2 places. One where there's a docking exercise over the Earth, and the second is where the ship reaches the point of the dark side of the moon. I've imported the green dot that I've created in Photoshop, and we'll introduce both of those when we put the hold on the path itself. With my file selected in the timeline, I'll right click and hold my mouse down. I'll go to time, enable time remapping. It'll set these two default keyframes. Now the first hold is going to be starting at 2 seconds, so I'll punch in 2 seconds in my timeline, and I'll click on the little diamond shape at the far left hand side of the timeline. I'll move forward to 3.5 seconds, and I'll copy and paste. So now if I would drag through, there's a hold between those two keyframes. Now the second one, we're going to go to 7.5 seconds. That's essentially where the red line begins. I'll click on the keyframe icon at far left hand side of the timeline. I'll hit Command-C to copy, and I'll move forward to second number 9. And I'll paste. Now if we were to play our timeline, we're going to see that it holds for that 1.5 duration at each of those points. And then we'll introduce that circle icon. I've imported the green dot file I made from Photoshop, and I've dropped that in my comp window. Now this is going to appear between 2, and so I'll use the keyframes for reference in our path file that we just set the time remapping on. With the keyframe showing, I can use K and J on the keyboard to go back and forth. I'll hit K on the keyboard, and I'll put the beginning of the dot there, and I'll make it 2 seconds long. I'll proceed to 3.5, and I'll make sure it's clipped there, holding the option and hitting the close bracket. Now I've also put a bit of a glow on this. Now I'm going to duplicate it by hitting Command-D. I'll hit K on the keyboard to go to the keyframe in my time remapped file here. And now I'll move that clip down to there. With it selected, I can shift snap, or I can use the open bracket by itself and we'll put it in position. So if we were to play this at this point, we're going to see that the green dot remains on screen for that duration.